Good morning. This is Dr. Kannan from Chengalpet, India. You are watching this series where we discuss about the ancient connection between India and the Kaya Federation in southern Korea. One may wonder why one should be interested in this topic at all to begin with. So I was born in India. Though I'm a German citizen, by heart I am an Indian. So India is a developing country with a tremendous potential, and India has lots of values. Once I was told in a party in Germany that a lady approached me and said, "Are you from India?" I said, "Yes." "India is the heart of the world," she said. So India has all those potential to be the heart of the world. And so I'm interested in India with lots of its values. And India being in those days politically unstable, and India's constitution was partly designed from the British and from American, because India is a democracy. But the investments initially, one would expect that India would receive it from the colonial power, UK, and also its associate from America. But actually, the investments were not that much from those Western countries. Though for ancient Indians, it was the East which was more important for them. Though for trade relations, they had trade with the Greek and Romans, but for more wealth, they were focusing on the East. But for some reason or other, the post-independent India never paid attention to the East. To my surprise, I realized that it is not America or the UK that invested in India in large sums, but that is Korea. From nowhere, they came down and invested so much in India. For example, the second biggest car manufacturing factory in the world after Ulsan is in Tamilnadu. So Sri Perumpudur is a place where they have the biggest Honda. It's Hyundai, Hyundai factory from Korea. So one wonders, like, why Hyundai has spent so much of money in investing in Tamil Nadu, particularly, not anywhere else in India. And later, when I have a conversation with the ambassador of Korea to India, he was telling me that more than 4,000 Koreans are living in Chennai, and more than several hundred companies are situated in and around Chennai. So he says probably this is not a coincidence. There must be a reason. And Byoung Mo, Professor Kim says that it is due to a transference, a phenomenon called transference. A transference could be called in Tamil as Rattabasam. What is a Rattapasam? Rattapasam is like you have an inclination towards this other person unknowingly, that you are being attracted. And so definitely the Koreans had a transference and invested in Tamil Nadu. So that's one thing. The second thing is I lived in Korea for 8 years, and I moved with those people. And I found there's a lot of, you could easily be, especially for the Tamils, you could easily be friends with Koreans for various reasons. I was in this beautiful museum in Gwangju, in southern part of South Korea. I thought like I was in a Indian museum because there's so much of Indian artifacts there. So I never felt I was in Korea, but nevertheless, it was so interesting. While I was leaving that museum, a lady approached me and asked me, like, "Are you from India?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And have you ever wondered why we call our father Appa and the mother Amma? I said, "Yes, I also wondered about that, but I never inquired enough on that. Do you have a reason for that?" She said, "Yes, we have a reason. And the reason is that long back there was a queen from India came here and she helped our Kim Suro to establish a federation called Kaya. And then she told how my children call me. They call the parents like Appa and Amma. The entire Korea should call their parents like that." You may wonder, like, is it really, is it that? In a way, it's very interesting because you just look around there near Korea, you have the Japan, which call the parents as Otto-san, Okka-san. It's very different from Appa and Amma. Okay, in a similar way, in Chinese also, like they don't call Appa and Amma, and nowhere in that region, either it is in Mongolia or in Philippines or in Vietnam, nowhere around that region, people call the parents Appa and Amma. So exactly like the Tamils. So then I got interested. I says, wow, so there must be a reason. But there's also another interesting anecdote to say that Byoung Mo, who started this research seriously, he actually had this problem. He says, "I'm not all that fair like the rest of the Koreans. I'm a little bit dark skinned. What could be the reason?" And then he got into Samguk Yusa, and then he found out that all the Kim clan has on their maternal side a link with India. The funny thing is, King Byoung Mo, who thought that he has a doctrine, should have come to the south, not to the North India, but he went to the North India. The North Indians are rather fair-skinned people, and they don't speak Tamil, and they don't call their parents like Appa and Amma. So that was a historical mistake, what he made. And so he thought the connections were from Ayodhya, and then they went all the way through Burma and settled in the Yangtze River in China. And then from that settlement, this Indian lady went to Korea and made this Kaya Federation. Though this route is possible, but if you look at the people and their behavior and the language, that is so closely connected with Tamil, not with any North Indian language. And for example, I call this lady as Chempavalam, but to call Chempavalam, it's such a long name for the Koreans to say. So I shortened her as Chemba. When I was Googling that, Chemba, but if you put Chemba, then the equivalent in Korean is Kemba. But if you put Semba, then you get the Chemba pronunciation in Korean. So you see the difference in Korean for the different pronunciation of Sa. Okay, there is no real pronunciation. Whereas in Sanskrit, we call it as the Varga. So the Cha sound could be 4 different types. Cha, Sa, Ja, Ja, like that. And for Ka and the whole a lot of letters, they have different pronunciation. Whereas in Korean, like in Tamil we don't have that Varga difference. So when I looked into this Chemba, and then the Cha is very unique. So it is, though I put Semba, but it says Chemba. And the Ba is again like, say in Tamil also, when I say, though I call it as Chemba, but I write it as Chempa, the Pa, because in Tamil we have only one Pa. We don't have Pa, Ba, Ba, like that. it's very similar in Korean also. So, for example, the Korean city is called Busan, but they write it as Busan, Busan. So when you ask why do you write Busan, because it's in there between Busan and the Busan. So because the pa sound is there is only one letter, and this is exactly the same situation in Tamil. So in many ways, Tamil and Korean have lots of similarities, and one should really be interested in this language. Actually, Jung Nam Kim, who started this research in an informal way, told me once that he is a journalist. He was traveling in Canada in a tram, and then he found the Sri Lankan Tamils chatting around. He said, "This language sounds very familiar to me. What is this language?" He asked those people, and then he found out that was Tamil. And so this is what the transference is. Certainly, there is a clear connection, and that's where I have to actually prove this connection through the Silk Route, or I may call it as a spice route from the southern India, especially from Atyutu, from Nagapattinam, or from any ports on the Kurkai, any ports in the South India, and also the antiquity. The story begins in year 49 Common Era, and in those times, Ayodhya never existed with that name. And it is only the southern Indians, especially the Tamils and the Cheras and the Ai people and the Pandyas, have been on the sea for ages already. And so, even if you look into the antiquity, it is actually Tamilnadu, which is really connected with Korea. And that's what my research is about. And we'll get into it one by one. Thank you for listening. Thank you. Bye.